everybody.
Hi, friends. Well, from beautiful springtime in Salt Lake City.
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
A podcast where a couple of atheists try to make sense of religion, politics, and current events here in these United States.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, Dan, we're going to basically be asking the question of, is there any role for woo? Can we use some woo?
Yeah.
Or wooey things, maybe?
When I was a child, I thought as a child thinks and did woo. But now that I am a man, I put away wooey things.
Well done.
There was a quote there I was trying to wrap my mouth around, but it didn't quite work.
Yeah,
we'll
got
just
it.
move through it.
We all got it, Dan. No worries.
Right. Yeah.
Well done, Dan. But first, before we get to that riveting conversation coming up on the last part of the show, we have some other things to talk about. Some things that happened this week, including a resurfaced viral video. I suppose it's a viral resurfaced video.
Right.
Might be.
It may not
the words
have gone
don't
viral.
seem to go in that order, but
It may not have gone viral the first time, but it resurfaced and then virality occurred.
And now it's hot. It's all over the place. Concerning, and we were just talking about this guy, Dan. We're big fans. Marvin Sapp.
Yeah, I've never heard of this guy. You mentioned his name and I was like, hey?
I can't believe you've never heard of Marvin Sapp, Dan. Gospel singer Marvin Sapp.
I am woefully uneducated.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong. And here's the thing. I don't listen to gospel music, but if there's a gospel song on, I usually am intrigued. I might be gospel music curious. To be honest.
I'm not opposed to gospel.
Yeah.
I mean, much of the 20th century's best sort of rock and roll / Motown or whatever was heavily gospel influenced.
Yeah, you're totally right. And so like, I don't know, like I kind of dig it sometimes. But anyway, this particular gospel singer and pastor, and that's the role in which he's sort of operating in this video that surfaced. The internet kind of went a little nuts apparently after people started seeing this video, because it is a video of him up during some sort of church service where he orders the ushers to shut the doors until he raises $40,000, until he extracts $40,000 from the congregants and from his fellow preachers up on stage. He says,
"Give me back some of your salary."
Yeah, he says, "Close the doors. We all gonna leave together. Y'all ain't going no place but to the restaurant after this," right? Is what he means. And he says, "There's 1,000 of you tonight, and those that are watching, it's 1,000 that are watching online. If I get 1,000 online to give this, $20 is what he's asking for. If I get 1,000 in the sanctuary to give this, that's $40,000 tonight." Right. And then he turns around to all the pastor or other preachers, and he sort of demands that $20, he tells them to put their $20 back in their pockets because he needs $100 from all of them.
Oh my God.
So he's just going around extracting money, telling people they can't leave until...
I feel like he heard the phrase captive audience and misunderstood entirely.
He says at one point that giving is worship. I don't know who you're worshiping or what you're worshiping at that point.
Yeah, I know exactly what he's worshiping.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I'm just like with the sort of this intent. I mean, he needs $40,000, and I'm like, is there like somebody out in the alley behind the church, like who told him, "You come out of this church without 40 grand that you owe me, right? I'm gonna break your knees." Like it honestly could be a scene from a movie where like this pastor needs 40 grand to pay somebody off.
Yeah, there's a menacing group of Italians out back.
It's really, really, really amazing. Some of the internet, of course, was like, well, yeah, I mean, they need to be paid. you know, and then everybody else was just like, this guy is hustling right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is that all of the televangelists especially they're hustlers.
Yeah.
But he's just trying a different hustle. He's just trying something out.
Yeah.
He's just exploring ideas.
Yeah. And he's up there. He's still kind of doing his preacher entertainer thing, right? Like he's getting some response from the audience.
Right.
But when he tells the ushers to close the doors, it's like people are like, and he's like, close them. I told you to close them. And he's like, all pissed, like they're not, like maybe they thought he was joking at first.
Right.
And then he's like, no, I'm fucking serious. I need 40 grand right now.
That is amazing. That is, and you know, you got to think that there were a bunch of people in the congregation there who were like, who like are on board with it. You know what I mean? Because people in the congregation tend to think, okay, yeah, this is giving to God or whatever, and they feel good about it.
Yeah.
But like, you know, somebody was on board with it, but was like, fuck, I only brought a 5. I didn't know it was going to be shut the doors and everybody gives 20. I've got 5.
Yeah. Well, I'm surprised they don't put a big Venmo QR code or something up on the screen or something. Because I mean, I guess that's one of the places where you have to show up with money. Is it church?
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought about that. You got to go hit the ATM machine on your way to church.
The Mormons have it down.
Yeah.
Passing the collection plate is one thing, but like literally, you know, there's no way to keep track of who's giving what, and you don't know if people are like the Mormons make you fill out forms about your like 10% of your income, and then they sit you down and look you in the eye and say, "Did you pay us 10% of your income?" And you have to look them in the eye back and say, yes, or ooh, and then they have recourse to do stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's
the
you know
Mormons
that's why that's why they have the money that they have.
That's why they got the big bucks. That's why Marvin Sapp doesn't have $150 billion.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh, Lordy
wild
Jesus.
Stuff.
Oh, Marvin Sapp.
He's a good guy, though. Otherwise, he's a good guy.
Sure.
Actually, he's not. There were some other headlines popping up as I was like searching this guy and like reading, and I was like, oh, okay. No, he's got some
none
negative
of them are
headlines out
good
there.
guys.
Yeah.
None of them are good guys. I learned that the hard way when I trusted one of them. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Well, I am going to tell the story of a man who, until last year, was the CEO of Intel, which is, as you know, one of the biggest tech corporations in the world.
Yeah.
Very, very important role this man played. This is one Pat Gelsinger. Gelsinger. I'm going to say Gelsinger. Anyway, Pat, you know, that he's a high-powered dude. He recently, so last year he retired from Intel. They say he retired. I don't know. Maybe he was forced out.
Likely.
He left Intel. He was no longer with Intel. And he has a new gig. Now, Frank, I don't know if you've heard of Gloo, spelled GLOO.
No, I haven't.
But Gloo is a tech company that I haven't heard of either. But it's looking big. It's looking like it's huge. Do
they make glue?
They don't. Nope, nothing to do with adhesives.
That's
whatsoever.
a bad name then.
They were but when they were founded in 2013, they raised $100 million in investments.
Okay, so they have a big idea.
Oh no, I've read that incorrectly. They were founded in 2013, and last summer they raised $100 million in investments.
Okay.
So they're on the meteoric ascent.
Yeah.
Why do we use the term meteoric for a rise?
Something that's going up. I know, it's annoying.
That's so dumb. Anyway, meteors fall down, everybody. That's just the only thing that they do. If it's a meteor, it is going down.
It's working a rocket ship somehow.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's having a rocket.
It's rocketing upwards.
It's rocketing upward.
Yes.
So this he's now at the helm of this thing, Gelsinger. It is a Christian doo-doo.
Oh.
It's a platform for Christianity.
Oh, I mean, smart.
Yeah.
Smart. Like, there's
suppose
money
so.
in it. You know? Like,
Yeah.
I've thought about it. I've thought about cashing in, you know,
Right.
trying to figure out my
You could
my
invest
play
in glue.
to
You could
to
become
scam the Christians.
a glue investor. I don't hold out much hope. Frankly, I think it's a shrinking market, and I wouldn't put any money in it.
Oh, but that's why they're going to be more desperately spending their money.
Yeah.
As their identity, as their numbers decrease. I mean, it's why they're lashing out like they are right now.
It's true.
Okay, so it's a Christian thing. What kind of Christian thing?
So here's what I've tried to sort out. Frankly, I don't think they do much.
Oh,
Because they don't sell any tech to the churches.
okay.
What they are is a platform. And this platform sort of offers things like clips, like video and audio stuff that the churches can use. For instance, clips from that show The Chosen that everybody loves so much about Jesus.
Okay.
Or they have a texting service that that pastors can use to reach their members, or so I don't think it's much yet. To be perfectly honest, I kept trying to figure out but that doesn't sound like $100 million worth of stuff. So what else is there?
It never is. It never is in that industry. Like these valuations are they're just so inflated, right?
Yeah.
And it's based on the reputation of the people at the top.
Right.
It's based on the idea that like if you charge it, if you get the thing like going with this like positive charge upward, rocketing upward, then that's why people invest, because it's going up, not because there's anything behind it. Right. I mean, there has to be something behind it, but like, not that thing is worth what it ends up being worth. It's absurd.
Yeah.
It's absolutely absurd. I hate that. I hate the whole thing.
So anyway, apparently it offers certain resources to churches. I don't know that it's much of anything.
It sounds like to me it's just a good way to make some more money for a former CEO of Intel.
Yeah, to fleece some Christians out of their cash.
Yeah.
They do have an AI something, or rather a large language model something.
Right. Right.
And it's sort of designed there. As it is right now, it's designed to kind of just sort of answer members' questions about theology and scripture.
Yeah.
Now, there's a problem with that, which is that there are many very wildly different Christian theologies. Like if you look at the theology of a very liberal, queer affirming church, it's going to be vastly different than, Greg Locke's church. So to deal with that, what they have done is they start at an evangelical Christian perspective.
Yeah.
That is their base point.
That's a great place because they're the most gullible, right?
And they're the most right about what Jesus wants. For sure. Anyway, they start there, but then apparently you can basically train their I'm not going to call it AI, their large language model on like the sermons of the pastor of the current church.
Oh yeah.
You train it on your church's theology.
God.
And then it will answer questions more in line with your thing. Which is so great. What a wonderful service that they've
More of a
created.
A large lies model.
It's just
God.
a large regurgitation model, which they all are. But like, oh my God, it's just so funny.
Blech.
It's also dumb.
Yeah. Well, good. So that's happening.
Yeah, that exists.
Dan,
Yeah.
are you a fan of Mel Gibson like I am?
Oh, let me tell you something. Actually, I used to be.
Yeah.
Quite a lot.
Yeah.
He was actually a really compelling actor.
Yeah. And now he, I don't know, maybe not so much.
Turns out he's a lunatic.
Super Catholic.
Who likes to hate people.
Yeah. Super into Jesus. Yeah. But he directed, right? The Passion of the Christ. Wasn't that?
Oh, yeah.
That was his big project.
Yeah.
It came out in 2004, I think is the right way to say that.
Yes.
And
you don't want to say 2004?
Yeah, 2004. It was the highest grossing R-rated film in U.S. history because it was so violent. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was rated R. But then, yeah, it made, because like people who would normally not see an R-rated movie went in large numbers to see this movie. It grossed over $370 million. And they made it for $30 million. So this was a money maker for everyone involved.
And it almost made the career of James Caviezel a thing.
Yeah.
But fortunately, he managed to escape that terrible fate of actually having a good career.
Oh, no. Well, he's actually going to be coming back for the Resurrection of the Christ, which begins...
We're gonna get re-Caviezeled?
It's going to start filming this summer. And an important detail, Caviezel is 56 years old now.
I was gonna say the man is so much older now. What are we doing?
Well, they're going to be using
I was
de-aging.
literally about to look him up on IMDb as you were talking.
They're going to use de-aging technique, digital de-aging on him.
No.
Yeah, so he can return as Jesus, the resurrected Jesus Christ. Mel Gibson has said that this is one of the craziest scripts that he's ever read. He said he's never read anything like it, and that it is he's describing the film as an acid trip. So I don't know what they're going to be doing with this whole resurrection thing.
Why the fuck? Like everything that you've said about this movie makes it wronger.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you say another fact about what's happening, I'm like, this is. I'm genuinely excited to see this film.
Yeah, I really okay. I mean, I guess it'll be fun.
That's exciting to me.
Well,
I want to see what fucking Mel Gibson thinks is an acid trip of a film.
Yeah, and
of a script.
How he's. I mean, I assume the acid trip
Uncanny
is the
Valley
portrayal
Jesus.
of Jesus being resurrected. Yeah, totally uncanny. It's going to be awful.
It's going to look so bad.
I mean, there was that Tom Hanks one. Did you see it? The one with Tom Hanks and
oh no,
What's Her Bucket, and it like takes place all in one room. I didn't bother seeing it, but they used a lot of de-aging in that.
They're older and younger and stuff.
Yeah.
Did it?
I saw some clips, and I do have to say, it was impressive. It was impressive. It wasn't uncanny, right? They've crossed the valley, but does it look fully right? And that's the question. And can you, like, here's this guy, he's going to be, playing a younger Jesus.
He's literally 40 years or 20 years older than he was.
Yeah.
And he's playing a character that is 2 days later.
Yeah. Yeah. So they have a little bit of work to do, Dan. But they're apparently they also have other actors coming back, I think.
Oh, thank God.
and they're going to be doing the same thing for them.
Oh my God.
Because, you know,
that's
this has to just pick right up where the other one left off. I hope, Dan, that this is part of a trilogy and that they do the Return of Christ as the next one. Like some sort of sci-fi, Jesus comes back, and I mean, it would be a lot of disaster porn and like really, really good stuff.
Can I just tell you what just happened, by the way? I did Google Jim Caviezel while we were talking, and then I clicked on The Passion of the Christ. As just, you know, Google came up with a series of movies that he had been in, and I clicked on the one that said The Passion of the Christ, and then in the Google in the Google search bar, because I didn't search this, but I clicked it, and then it appears in the Google search bar, and it says La Pasión de Cristo.
Yeah.
Why did it do that? Why didn't it say? Why did I get the Spanish version? Why did it just go directly? That's so weird.
It is a little odd.
La Pasión de Cristo.
Well, anyway,
because I wanted to see who else was in it. Because Monica Bellucci. Oh, okay. Well, I definitely have had a crush on her, but she's also 20 years older, and I don't know that you want to. How old is she? A 60-year-old Mary Magdalene?
De-aging, Dan.
De-aging.
De-age. They'll de-age her. She'll look great.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know why they cast people at this point.
At this point, it's like they're trying to spend as much money as they can.
Yeah.
Here's my theory. If Mel Gibson wants to really go nuts, which it sounds like he does, he should approach the Mormon Church and make Jesus in the Americas.
Oh my God! So it could be like one of those IMAX films they show at Temple Square.
Just be like, break me off $150 million of that you won't even notice is gone. And did you know that Monica Bellucci and Tim Burton are partners?
Did not know that.
Okay, never mind. I'm done. I got to get off the Google.
There you go.
I'm going to take us to Japan.
Oh yeah, nice.
But I'm going to be talking about a Korean religion. You may remember, because you were around in the 80s, the Moonies.
Yeah.
The church of Reverend Sun Myung Moon, who's founded the Unification Church, which I believe it actually has a much longer name than that, but it's kind of shortened to Unification Church, or we liked to call it the Moonies back then. It was founded, I don't know, in the 70s, and Reverend Moon really took off.
Oh yeah, big deal.
It's a Christian offshoot, so that's weird because Asian Christians is just a little bit weird just on its face. But it took off. It was popular here in the States for a while.
Oh yeah.
And it was also popular, strangely. It feels strange to me, in Japan. It kind of took off in Japan.
Okay.
And in Japan, I don't know how much you or our listeners know about Japanese-Korean relations, but Japan kind of got a little empire-y for a minute there and took over the Korean peninsula for just a bit. And that wasn't very nice. And, the Koreans haven't forgotten that. Anyway, so when this took off, here's the thing. As a Christian mega pastor is wont to do, Reverend Moon demanded money from the people, and lots of money. And when they went into Japan, apparently one of the ways that they demanded money, and I think this is amazing, is that they would say that the Japanese had to sort of account for their ancestors' treatment of the Koreans.
Wow. Okay.
So they had to sort of pay their way out of their ancestors' shame or something like that.
Yeah. Indulgences almost.
Yeah, almost. Anyway, there's a lot. It was heavy-handed, what they did. And here's the thing. Major, big-time people in Japan were part of this. I'm going to call it we'll call it a church.
Okay.
Including former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember hearing that detail, and it was okay.
Well, and it is kind of what got him assassinated.
Mm-hmm.
Because in 2022, he was not the prime minister at the time, but someone who had been hurt, who basically blamed the church for his family falling apart and being awful, went and killed Prime Minister Abe about it. It's not a tremendously, it doesn't make a lot of sense,
Right.
but that's what happened.
Right.
Anyway, one thing that incident did apparently was shine a fairly bright light on the church, on the Unification Church, because this guy was screaming about was claiming that the reason that he did this was that church has ruined his life and ruined his family. So they started looking at it, and they found a lot of very egregious wrongdoing, mostly in the form of like major pressure on family members to give too much money and to like donate their property and to it was heavy pressure, and and also like give up their time but it was apparently so much, it was so over the top, and that it was against Japanese law.
Oh, yeah, okay.
To the point that the country of Japan has now officially dissolved the church.
Really?
The Unification Church is apparently ordered to be dissolved.
No longer
by
unified.
No,
they've been.
They're unified elsewhere, but not in Japan.
They've been deunificated. Huh, all right.
Isn't that crazy?
That is.
I just wanted to tell that story because hey, look, everybody, it's possible.
Yeah. If there's an organization that's misbehaving, right?
That's abusing people, that is psychologically damaging people, that is forcing people to give up money that they cannot afford to give up and hurt their families.
Yeah.
There should be consequences for that.
Yeah.
And apparently in Japan, every now and then, when you're like, and they've done this before. They did it with there's a group called Aum Shinrikyo.
Okay.
You may remember them as the ones who did a sarin gas attack on the Tokyo subway system.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
So apparently before now, you had to be pretty fucking egregious. You had to literally murder hundreds of people.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go.
Wild. All right. Good on Japan.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Dan. Well, back here in the United States, there's the loathsome Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, comically.
The eminently qualified Secretary of Defense, I think is what you mean to say.
The former Fox News host.
The tatted up drunkard.
Yeah, and we're actually going to be talking about the tattoos.
Oh.
One in particular, apparently on his right arm, I think it's his right upper arm, he has a tattoo that says kafir, Kafir is the word.
Like the limes?
Indeed, yeah. Which means infidel or non-believer in Arabic. And so he's marked himself as an infidel, right?
Oh. Because he's proud of it.
And it's almost like come at me, bro. Right? Is his attitude here. Well, of course, Muslims aren't taking too kindly to this. It was the tattoo was spotted in a photo that he posted to Instagram. So it's out there. People are seeing it. And Muslims in this country are pretty upset by this. in
Yeah.
there are actually a lot of Muslims in our military. 5 to
What?
6,000.
They allowed that?
I know.
Not for long. Not when we've got a kafir as our guy.
I know. But about 5 to 6,000 is the estimate of U.S. military members that practice Islam.
Yeah.
And at the top of the Defense Department is this guy who's a complete Islamophobe.
Yeah.
And
proud as fuck of it.
Yeah. And I guess using the word this way it's kind of been a tactic of the far right. This is something that they are doing. They're getting it tattooed on them, or they just use the word in order to describe themselves. It's kind of like, I guess, to taunt and to mock and vilify and all that kind of stuff.
Gotta love it.
And so, and this is not his first offensive or concerning tattoo. I think we've known of others.
Oh yeah.
There's the Crusader aesthetics ones. Have you heard of this phrase? Crusader aesthetics?
I haven't heard of Crusader aesthetics, but I know that he's got the Crusader cross.
Yeah,
or whatever
he does.
It is.
He has the Crusader cross. He has a phrase in Latin that says Deus Vult, which is God wills it, is how that would be translated.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it's believed to have been a Crusader battle cry.
Right. Whenever they'd go and just murder somebody, they would say, "Hey, God wills it."
Well, but who were the Crusaders going and killing?
Right. That's a good point.
Muslims in Jerusalem, right? And
it almost makes it sound like he's anti-Muslim in some way.
It might just kind of be that way, right? And so this is kind of a thing. Apparently this whole Crusader aesthetics is an increasing trend among the far right. I'm not sure quite how far it extends. I don't know if they're putting on like helmets and all the like armor as well.
I really want that to be the case, though.
Yeah,
that is something that I'm desperate to be true. I need them to start to get really into helmets.
Yeah,
and
the whole thing. Like if you're going to be a Crusader, like just go for it, man.
If you don't own tunics, really, are you really into Crusaders or not?
I don't think they are. I would love to watch them take this to its most extreme form.
Its most
expression.
logical conclusion.
Yeah. And to really just keep pushing it. Like I want it to be their official uniform. And you're not a good far right guy if you're not dressed as, a 12th century Crusader or whatever.
If you're not cosplaying as, Richard the Lionheart, what are you doing?
Yeah. So that's going on. That's our, that's who's at the top of, important departments of our government, right?
Yeah. Out there.
This is not concerning.
No.
We're gonna be fine.
I mean, the delightful part is at least we know that he's really concerned about security and texting war plans to that
thing. Yeah. Oh yeah. And also like keeping secrets secret.
Yeah, he's important. Really good at all the things. He's excellent. He's great. He's great. All right. Well, I'm going to close us off with a miracle, Frank.
Oh yeah. I love a good miracle. Do tell.
We all love a good miracle. And this miracle occurred at the church of Saint Anthony of Padua.
Oh yeah, okay.
And as I'm sure you can guess, Saint Anthony of Padua is in Morris, Indiana. That's right. So
it's not in Padua.
It's not in Padova. Italy.
Padua.
No, of course not. It's in Indiana. But they had a miracle recently where now, as you know, when a Catholic receives the Eucharist, partakes in communion.
Yeah.
They are given a consecrated a cracker, a wafer, and then some wine. And this wafer doesn't just represent the body of Jesus Christ. Oh no. We're not just talking about a metaphor here. It becomes the body of Jesus Christ.
Do they still believe that? Transubstantiation? I thought they distanced themselves.
They may have walked it back a little bit, but I think that I think there is plenty of room to continue to believe it.
And really, like, what harm does it do if you believe it, right? Like, I'm eating Jesus.
Well,
I'm having a little Jesus snack.
I've got more reason for you to believe it, my friend.
Yeah.
And that is what happened in St. Anthony of Padua, where the priest, every now and then a wafer hits the floor. You know what I mean? Like when you're just doling out your wafers, sometimes somebody doesn't quite get it in the mouth, boom, it hits the floor. You're not going to reuse it.
That's bad.
So Jesus. You chuck it into a thing. You have to dispose. It's consecrated already, so you can't dispose of it just down the holy incinerator. So I don't know. So he put it in a thing that had some water in it, and let me tell you something. They went back and looked at it. It was bleeding. There was blood.
Dan,
I've seen the photos, my friend. It looks like maybe a little bit of skin. What it looks like is a Band-Aid where that has bled through from the other side.
All right, thanks for that.
Yeah, so enjoy that. But miracle, and I'm
sure that's amazing,
and such a possible miracle that they needed to verify this thing.
Okay, good.
So they sent it to a lab. Which is what you would do, because let me tell you something. Nothing has ruined the miraculous nature of the Catholic Church more than science, because now they have to use it, but they didn't have to before. 300 years ago, when this happened, this would have been just an obvious bona fide miracle. We can all just rest on our laurels, and everything's fine.
Put it in some sort of like holy reliquary, something or other, and have people come adore it, right?
The miracle of transubstantiated cracker, literally bleeding to prove that it was Jesus.
Yeah,
like boom, easy.
It's so disgusting. Like the fact that they really. It's vile.
Yeah.
It's so gross. Like, I don't want something that's I don't want to actually be eating a piece of Jesus Christ.
No.
On a weekly basis.
Yeah. And also,
maybe every once in a while.
Not for nothing,
but
at the Last Supper, it's not like Jesus was like carving off bits of himself and saying, "This is my flesh." He was giving them bread and saying, "This is my flesh." That is a very obvious metaphor.
Yeah.
We're just saying metaphor. You don't have to, you weirdo theologians hundreds of years later don't have to like go, well, if he said this is my flesh, then what, doesn't that mean that it turned into him? No,
clearly.
Idiots.
Damn.
Anyway,
I prefer the literal reading of scripture.
Yeah. So anyway, it's not like Jesus was known to speak in metaphor. It's not like most of his words were parable or whatever. Anyway, so this has happened before. I'm just going to point out, in Minnesota, there was in St. Augustine Church, there was another version of the bleeding communion host here in our lovely Utah, out in Kearns.
No,
at the Church of St. Francis Xavier.
No,
there was a thing. Now, in both of those times, I'm sure you can guess it turned out to be mold. It was a bread mold.
Oh,
but
that's disappointing.
It is disappointing. Again, science ruins everything. But in this case, in the case of the most recent case at St. Anthony of Padua in Morris, Indiana, they sent it to a lab and it came back as mold. It was mold again. It's always mold. Why are you don't bother sending it to the lab? You know it's mold.
Yeah.
We all know it's mold.
Because what we need it to work just once so that we can get that DNA. And that's how Jesus comes back.
Just get one of those sketchy labs. Why are you using
Jurassic
good
Park
labs?
Jesus, right? Like that's how we do it. Comes back as a velociraptor. And
let me tell you something. If you own a lab, if any of our people, because let's be honest, our audience is more likely to own or run a lab than
most audiences,
than any congregation of Catholics.
Oh, sure, fair enough.
So, if any one of you owns a lab or runs a lab, and you get sent dumb wafers that are meant to be like. All I'm saying is it might be worth giving up your reputation just to prank them and send them back results that it's blood. It might be worth it. And say that it's Semitic blood. Say that it's from the Middle East. Say
Dan.
Go as far as you can go and make it sound legit.
Dan.
Wow,
the whole world would erupt and
that would be. And here's the thing. What would happen is the prank would go viral. Yes, the world would erupt. It would be outrageous. Everybody would lose their minds. And then if you come out and say, psych, it was all a prank, no one will believe you.
Right. No,
even if you're the one who did it, they won't believe you.
Yep.
Satan got to you. And it will be forever. Forever what you will have done is created a miracle. And I say it's worth it. I say do it. I love it.
That's sick and twisted, Dan.
I love it.
I'm not on board with this idea.
Good.
Because people need to have, standards.
People need to be able to trust science.
And we need to trust these labs. And also, let's keep shutting this shit down.
Mm-hmm. No, I say blow it up. I say blow it the hell up. I love it. All right. If you would like to weigh in on whether my lab prank is a good idea or as Frank's decided it's a bad idea, you can write into us. Podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. We'd love to hear from you. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. There's more show coming up.
All right, Frank, we've had some folks write into us, and I'm going to start with, this is just something I have to throw out to everybody. It's not, I'm not going to read the whole email. It was Kara sending in a story that we actually did last week.
Okay.
Kara probably sent it in before that episode came out. But it was the story you'll recall of the Arizona chaplains, the Arizona bill that's going to allow chaplains in their schools,
right?
But only if they believe in a God and blah blah blah. That's not what I need to talk about this email. What I need to talk about is that what Kara sent in was the actual link to the bill itself, which is the Arizona bill. It is bill number SB 1269. If you go to the Arizona legislators website, which I think is agleg.gov,
mm-hmm.
and you click on and you search out SB 1269, and then you go to the RTS/current bill positions section of that page,
mm-hmm.
and you look at the for and against, and the first, this is what I came up with. I don't know if it'll still be there when it's not there. I looked a name, the first name that appears in the for column.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw this name. I went to look it up. I can find nothing on the internet about this name except like jokes and whatever. But the first name on the website of the Arizona legislature is Harry Beaver. I don't know how that's possible. Is it a prank? I looked up the Arizona state legislature. I can't find any record of anyone being named Harry Beaver, but Harry Beaver is what I'm seeing. I can send you a screenshot. Can someone help me out? Anyway, I'm not going to belabor this.
Good.
But
all right.
But I needed to get through that because I needed that to be out in the world. I needed someone to know that on the state legislature there's a thing that says
that there possibly is a state legislator
named Harry Beaver.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
I don't know how, but like I can't find him anywhere.
Elected? Well, yeah.
So
it's spelled differently from what you're talking about. So maybe a little less risky of a
Harry, but like that's still. Is someone that runs the website doing a joke? I don't know. Anyway,
Did you click on the name?
It's not clickable.
Oh, that's dumb. All right.
I'm so frustrated. I want to know what's happening. Anyway, Harry Beaver. Okay. So now I'll get to the emails that I'm going to read. Anyway, thanks, Kara, for sending that in. Doug wrote in to say, listening to episode 692, I had a thought. The reason fundamentalist Christians want to call empathy a sin is because empathy can change people's minds.
Oh.
Most fundamentalist Christians believe in what's called divine command theory of morality. God has given commands, made standards, and it's the job of humans to obey and live by those commands and not compromise.
Right.
But if someone tries to put themselves into the shoes of another, mentally or emotionally, if someone really tries to empathize, which means to feel in or into along with someone who is, say, gay or trans, it might cause that person to go, oh, I get it. I see how they feel.
Right.
They might change their mind with their opinion about gay and lesbian people. And doing that would mean that they step outside of their obedience to the divine commands.
Yeah.
That's not wrong.
Yeah, that's
definitely one of the things. Bill, who says, Bill, former temple lot here. Now, I had forgotten that apparently we have a listener who used to be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints temple lot.
Well, I think it's Church of Christ Temple Lot is the name of the organization.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, one of the Mormon offshoots, and for my money, one of the funniest of the Mormon offshoots. Like their whole thing is that they own the lot that God's temple was supposed to be made on, and they won't let the bigger Mormon offshoots, the bigger Mormons, have it.
And they desperately would pay them tons of money for it.
So much money, and they're just grumpily holding out. And I love it. Anyway, Bill says, as you know, Frank, that temple lot is right near Kansas City. And you and I were sort of expounding on the idea of Kansas City and complaining that it crosses the river and that it's in two states, and that's stupid.
Super annoying.
Bill says, let's start here. Kansas refers to the river, not the state. The river came first. The first settlement at the confluence of the Kansas and Missouri rivers was called Westport Landing, built to service riverboats and was on what would be the Missouri side. It was renamed Kansas, Missouri. Stay with me. Then City of Kansas, and finally Kansas City officially in 1889.
Okay.
The confusion from the similar names was deliberate. Apparently, and this is from kchistory.org, during this time, other settlements were developing across the river on the Kansas side in Wyandotte County. I don't know how to say that. Some of these small towns incorporated as Kansas City, Kansas in 1872. By naming this town after the growing city on the Missouri side of the state line, city leaders in Kansas were able to capitalize on the success of Kansas City, Missouri. Come to Kansas City. Have you heard it's great? Come and live in this one.
Yeah, but then people arrive and they're like, oh, I just got sold a bill of goods.
Yeah, I got suckered in.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And people in Kansas City, Kansas have been suckered ever since. I don't know that. I don't know that that's true. Anyway, John wrote into us to say, hi, Frank and Dan. Just listening to the most recent podcast episode, you mentioned that Arizona has a school chaplain law that requires the chaplain to believe in one or more supernatural beings. I just think that the Unitarian Universalist religion would be the perfect church to challenge the constitutionality of this law. Most UU members are atheist, or at least don't believe in God, and they are relatively large and financially stable church. Not sure how large they are in Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be an interesting thing. But I don't see the UU going after this kind of thing. Maybe they do. Maybe they do more than I see, but I don't generally see that.
Yeah, but a good point, right?
Yeah, and I would feel much more comfortable having UU chaplains in schools.
Yeah, because
no
kidding.
I wouldn't be quite as freaked out.
Still, though, bad idea. But if as a way to test it or whatnot, go for it.
Yeah. And finally, I don't think this one was signed. It says, hey, friends, I heard the story about Satanists being accused of stealing the Catholic host wafers. There was an almost identical accusation against the Satanic Temple a while back. It seems that this is the Catholic Church's go-to accusation anytime there is going to be a black mass. TST seized the opportunity to make some great "We didn't steal your crackers" merch. And this person sent in an image of the merch, which is a sort of cartoon Baphomet, sort of looking evil and holding a cracker, which I will say, I've never seen. I haven't seen that many of the communion wafers in the world. I've only seen a few.
Yeah,
but they've always been round. And this one was sort of saltine diamond lozenge shaped.
Oh.
And I just thought, why? You missed an opportunity. Put a cross on it. Put it in make it a circle and put a cross on it, which is what they look like. Anyway.
All right.
Well, we have some folks to thank, I do believe.
We do, Dan.
All right. And I'm going to start with Margaret, who is now a deacon here in our magic powers that we bestow. So Congratulations, Margaret. Thank you so much for your one-time donation.
Awesome. And then over on Patreon, we have a couple people to thank. We have a new teacher by the name of Kay. Thank you very much, Kay.
Thank you, Kay. Wonderful.
And we have a new priest by the name of Anna.
Oh.
So thank you to Anna.
Love a woman priest. It's a favorite.
Indeed. And if you'd like to join these kind individuals in supporting the show, please go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com/donate. And you find options like PayPal or Patreon. And also a reminder that we love 5-star reviews. So
sure. Go. If you haven't already reviewed the show, by the way, 3-4-star reviews might be honest, but they're not allowed. Because all of our reviews are counteracting asshole Christian reviews that don't listen to the show and then give us 1 star because we've got the word atheist in our thing. Yeah. So it's only 5 stars. Fill up the night sky with 5 stars. Woohoo! And then donate some money and you'll get magic powers. That's the deal.
The best magic powers. And as always, Dan, we have our top donor to thank, our Lord and Savior, Davis.
More show coming up. All right, Frank.
Yes, Dan.
we're gonna close it out strong here. We got an email from Nikki, and it was a lovely email, and it was basically Nikki grew up Mormon, but her parents also had a very woo side to them.
Okay.
And
That's not
she
terribly common.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. Mormons. I mean, I guess I grew up. We had some folk remedies in the pantry.
Sure. Okay.
Not a lot. Not a lot. The word poultice was not thrown around in my house.
Gotcha. Right.
But we, every now and then you'd get, oh, you got a sore throat. We'll give you the this, that, and the other. I don't even remember.
Okay.
Did your parents, this is how old we are. Did your parents use iodine on your cuts and scrapes?
No, but I remember my mom pinning me down to pour some hydrogen peroxide and saying, at least we don't use iodine anymore.
I got iodine.
You got it.
My parents weren't hip to the new stuff.
Apparently it burns.
Yeah, it's not great. And it also it dyes your wound red. And what you don't need is for it to be redder. I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Peroxide's kid stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yes, Nikki mentioned several remedies that her parents would give. They would take, to be clear, they would take her to the doctor if things got really out of hand. But they had remedies for everything from the colds to strep to warts, whatever.
All right.
And it was and they also went to the chiropractor regularly.
Okay.
So there, cold remedies. She says cold remedies almost always led Dad to making a poultice of onion, mustard, and rubbing alcohol. Mix it all up in a towel.
Okay.
Wrap it around the throat and go to sleep. This may or may not come with a slice of garlic in our socks, or garlic oil rubbed on our feet.
Oh no, some stinky kids.
Just the smells. Kids are stinky already. This feels like self-punishment. This feels like Dad was punishing himself with these stinky kids. I actually recently saw a video that was from the 60s it was probably the 60s, the early 60s. It was black and white video of people on the street interviews of British people. What do you do for the common cold? What do you do for a cold or flu?
Right.
I think it was flu. I think they were saying flu.
Okay.
What do you do for flu? And they were talking multiple people. Apparently this was a big thing. Multiple people talked about putting gooey yuck in the socks that they had worn all day and wrapping those around their necks. And I can't imagine a more disgusting thought.
Yeah.
I just I think and what was really amazing is that these people would be like, it works a charm, it works a treat. I do it, and 3 days later, I feel better.
Yeah.
And it's like, you had a 3-day cold, asshole. If you had done 0, it probably would have gotten better also.
Yeah. Oh God. At least.
But instead, you made yourself even miserabler.
Yeah. At least Nikki's dad was basically just making a salad dressing and putting it on, rubbing it around on his kids. But
yeah.
Good God.
And it does sound nice. It sounds delicious. Maybe without the rubbing
Except
alcohol.
no rubbing alcohol. Yes.
You might want to skip that. So anyway, the conclusion of Nikki's thing is that she is now in the medical industry. She's a medical practitioner of some sort.
So she's escaped. She got out of that.
But she does use a few of the things. She says she still gargles apple cider vinegar for a sore throat. She likes honey and lemon tea for for when she's feeling bad. But it's just to feel better. She doesn't believe that the vinegar is killing the bugs in her throat. She doesn't believe, you know what I mean? It just makes her feel a little better.
Yeah. Well, a little tea definitely makes you feel better, right?
Yeah.
You're drinking something warm. The honey can be very soothing if you have a cough, right? Like it is doing something.
Yeah,
In fact, when I was in the hospital, they were like, I asked for like a cough suppressant, and they were like, you can also just do like chamomile tea and honey. And I was like, wait, what hospital am I in? Give me the meds. Give me the good stuff.
I wanted chemicals. What are you talking about?
But this was coming from the doctor that was treating me. And I was like, I'll give it a shot. And she's like, yeah, give it a shot. See if it works.
And the truth is that like there are several medicines out there that aren't very effective.
Yeah. And
it's as good as we got, but cough suppressant, it doesn't work very well.
Yeah. And that's kind of
you may
what
just
she
be
was saying.
throwing away your money.
Yeah.
Might as well do something. Might as well at very least do something that feels good and tastes good.
And it's soothing. Like it really is. Like there's something comforting when you're sick, just sipping on a warm drink. Like there's no reason why these things have to be thrown away just because they have maybe home remedies,
Yeah.
And possibly woo-woo
origin.
But like if it's still just something that is like comforts you, why not? You're sick. You're feeling so bad anyway. Like my mom always gave us 7-Up and saltines when we had upset stomachs, and
sure,
that could still be comforting because it's from your childhood, right?
I do have to say
it's from when your mom was taking care of you. Like that has to have some sort of psychological benefit,
at least psychological value, if not a physical value. The other thing is, what I have to believe is that people who lived through the Depression, people from back in those days, people in my mom's generation, etc., it feels like they had the opposite theory from ours, which is make it worse on yourself and then that'll make it all go away. Like the grosser the treatment is, the more awful you feel, the quicker you'll be done with it or something.
It was probably just some sadistic father that like dreamt up all this stuff, right? Who was just like, oh, I'll show you suffering.
And then he was like,
I'll get you to stop. Like, I'm going to make the treatment for your cold so awful that I know you'll never fake it.
But then he was
you'll
like,
never try to get out of working on the farm or whatever by being sick, because I'm going to punish you in the form of a treatment. And I know that rubbing salad dressing all over you doesn't do anything.
Right. But it does make you pretend like you're not sick anymore and you stop whining. And then that guy must have thought, you know what? I am not satisfied torturing my own children. I think I'm going to write a book. I think I'm going to get this out into the world so that other people experience this torture also.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I do think that we don't have it all figured out. And when you get a cold, there's no pill that makes it just stop.
No.
So I think one of the points for me is that there is a baby and bathwater question. And I think we as atheists can get a little on the snobbish side when it comes to anything that we perceive to be woo.
Right.
Like anything that we perceive to be, no, that's not actually scientifically validated, so never do it ever, or whatever. And I think we can fucking relax, everybody. You know what I mean? Like we don't have to be. I will say this: the danger is always there, and that is that if someone, you and I, Frank, if we take any, sort of herbal or something that we would consider woo thing, and it makes us feel better for whatever reason, we're not going to go out and start extrapolating from there and saying, oh, just take this for anything. It'll cure. Of course it'll cure your cancer. It cured my, it'll be good for tuberculosis, whatever.
Right.
We're not going to do that. I do believe that many people are prone to doing that. They find something that helped them with X, Y, or Z, or that they even perceived to help them with X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
And then they start making wild leaps.
Yeah.
And that's when you start to get people who forego their cancer treatment in favor of lemons or in favor of apple cider vinegar or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's when it gets really ugly. But as long as we are reminding ourselves, I'm just trying to feel better no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't make this mean anything. It just makes it mean that I'm trying to feel better. Then we're in good shape.
Yeah.
And don't do things that make you feel worse. Just soothe yourself. Good Lord. If someone comes at me with the word poultice, I'm running. I like, regardless of everything that we've just said, if someone starts saying, let me whip up a poultice for you. No. Go away.
Yeah.
You are not invited to my cold.
But a little, I mean, if they're just making a little sauce to put on something. Pan sauce with the drippings from your roasted chicken or something, because you got most everything you need right there between the onions and the mustard and
sure.
Just
roast up a chicken.
No rubbing alcohol.
Don't put it on your body. Just make a nice salad or a chicken or whatever, and that'll be fine. All right, friends. Well, I'm calling it for the show. If you, friends, would like to participate in the conversation, if you'd like to reach out to us, you may do so. It's podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. We would love to hear from you. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
If we could, we'd close the doors and lock you in, but since we can't, if you would care to give us any of your money, we would sure love it. Go to thankgodimatheist.com/donate.
This episode was edited by Roger Gowdy, and music was provided by the Red Rock Hot Club and Gordon Johnston.
Hey, thanks all y'all for tuning in. We sure do appreciate you.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Thank God I'm Atheist is a production of TGIA Media, LLC, copyright 2025, all rights reserved.